You close the front door behind you, the click of the lock echoing through the sudden, stagnant air of your entryway. As you walk to your car, you might imagine your dog immediately heading for their bed, perhaps enjoying the quiet or finally getting some uninterrupted rest in the patch of sunlight on the rug. You assume they are just waiting for your return, living in a sort of peaceful, frozen animation until the key turns in the lock again. But if you could peer through the walls and witness the secret life of your home when it is empty, you would realize that you are leaving behind a creature that has just entered a state of high-alert existential monitoring. This isn't about them napping in the way we humans define it. It is a complex, sensory-driven vigil that transforms your living room into a theater of anticipation. While you see a vacant house, your dog is experiencing a time-distorted reality where every creak of the floor and every shifting scent is a piece of evidence in a grand investigation. There is a hidden, psychological logic behind their solo behaviors, and once you understand the den-bound instincts they are running, you'll realize that your dog isn't just killing time. They are meticulously managing the absence of their entire world. Think about the way you feel when you lose your phone and suddenly feel disconnected from your social network. You assume your dog is content because they have their toys and a comfortable couch. But the twist is that in the canine mind, your departure isn't just a temporary absence. It is a pack fragmentation event. Within minutes of you leaving, your dog often performs a ritual of scent seeking that looks like simple curiosity but is actually a vital act of self-regulation. You might return to find your dog sleeping on your dirty laundry or curled up on the exact spot on the sofa where you were sitting, and the common assumption is that they are just being naughty or looking for the softest spot. However, what is really happening is that they are seeking out your scent anchor to stabilize their own nervous system. Your concentrated scent releases dopamine and oxytocin in their brain, physically lowering their heart rate and acting as a biological sedative against the anxiety of isolation. In psychological terms, this is olfactory grounding. They are effectively hugging your chemical ghost to remind themselves that you still exist. It is a moment of profound, quiet devotion that reminds us that even when we are miles away, our very essence is the only thing that keeps their world from spinning out of control. This sensory vigil goes even deeper when you consider the auditory mapping they perform at the window or the door. You might see on a home camera that your dog spends hours staring at the street, and the common assumption is that they are bored and looking for squirrels. But what is really happening is that your dog is filtering the entire neighborhood through a sieve of recognition. Dogs can distinguish the specific frequency of your car's engine from hundreds of others, and they can recognize the unique rhythm of your footsteps on the pavement from a floor away. While you are gone, they are listening for the gap in the silence. They are waiting for the one sound that recompletes the pack. Because their perception of time is linked to the fading strength of your scent in the air, a phenomenon known as the scent clock, they become more agitated as the day goes on and your smell becomes stale. They are literally watching the time evaporate from the room. It is a brilliant, if heartbreaking, display of biological synchronization, proving that for a dog, the house isn't a home until it contains the heartbeat of the leader. As you begin to see your dog as this intuitive, time-tracking sentinel, even the mess they might leave behind starts to feel like a high-level act of emotional communication. You start to realize that their destructive habits, like chewing a shoe or scratching at a door, aren't acts of spite, but rather the frantic tools of a species trying to bridge the gap between their isolation and your presence. This journey into the hidden mechanics of the canine soul is what we explore here every week, unmasking the complex storytelling that happens in the hours you aren't there to see it. If you're starting to appreciate the silent waiter who refuses to let the fire of the pack go out, joining this community by subscribing is your way of promising to come home with the same intensity they use to wait for you. We are learning to translate the language of the empty house together, because in the secret world of the pack, the most important moments are the ones spent keeping the connection alive across the distance. By staying curious, you are becoming the anchor they've always believed you are, ensuring that when you finally walk through that door, you are meeting a friend who has truly earned your embrace. But the mystery of the hidden truth takes a fascinating turn when we look at the concept of territorial patrolling and the burden of the lone guard. Have you ever noticed that your dog seems exhausted when you get home, as if they've had a busy day of work? The common assumption is that they've just been playing hard with their toys. But the reality is that many dogs take on the role of the den protector the moment you leave. Without the leader there to manage threats, the dog's cortisol levels can remain elevated as they monitor every mail delivery, every passing dog, and every strange vibration in the walls. They aren't resting. They are on a high-stakes shift. In canine psychology, this is known as hypervigilance. They are sacrificing their own peace of mind to ensure that the den is exactly as you left it when you return. When they finally greet you at the door and then immediately collapse into a deep sleep, they aren't just tired, they are finally off the clock. They have successfully handed the security of the world back to you. This leads us to a behavior that often surprises owners: the reunion ritual that involves more than just a wagging tail. You might walk in and find your dog bringing you a random object or spinning in frantic circles, and you assume they are just crazy with joy. But the twist is that this is a deliberate re-entry protocol designed to re-establish the social hierarchy and confirm that you are still the same person who left. By bringing you an object or initiating a specific movement, they are asking for a status check. They are looking for your micro-expressions and your tone of voice to ensure the world is safe again. It is a moment of high-stakes social recalibration, proving that for a dog, your return is the only event that truly matters in their calendar. They aren't just happy to see you. They are relieved that the order of the universe has been restored. The powerful insight that reframes everything we've discussed is the realization that your dog's life, when you're not home, is a total rejection of the independent animal. In the end, we have to ask ourselves, why would a creature evolve to be so utterly dependent on the presence of another? The answer is that your dog understands something we often forget, that we are not meant to be solitary. They don't see the house as a luxury. They see it as a waiting room. Every time they sigh against the door frame, they are reinforcing the idea that you are the sun in their solar system. It is a ritual of absolute, unshielded belonging. When they finally see you turn the corner of the street, they aren't just seeing a person, they are seeing the end of a long, lonely vigil. The true emotional depth of this behavior reveals itself when you realize that your dog is the only creature on earth that will treat your absence like a temporary death and your return like a resurrection. They spend their hours of isolation refining their senses, guarding your space, and huddling in your scent just to stay whole. The waiting isn't a passive act, it is a soul-level commitment. It is the behavior of a creature that knows exactly how much you mean to them and how much they have to lose if the silence were to ever become permanent. When you finally understand that their solitude is actually a high-level act of psychological endurance and devotion, your relationship changes. You stop seeing a dog who is fine on their own and start seeing a friend who is holding the line until you get back. In the end, we have to recognize that your dog is the only creature that will treat a mundane Tuesday at work like an epic separation of the ages. They don't care about the reason for your absence, they only care about the reality of your return. They are the silent partners in our daily lives, the ones who believe that you are worth every second of their wait. They aren't just pets who live in our houses. They are the watchers of the hearth who have decided that your presence is the only thing that makes a den a home. The next time you lock that door and head out into the world, Don't just think of your dog as resting. Take a second to realize that in that moment, a massive amount of ancestral devotion is being funneled into the quiet air of your living room. You are being waited for by a master of the vigil, an ancient sentinel who has promised never to let the memory of you fade, no matter how long the day becomes. Your dog doesn't just wait for you to come home. They spend every second of your absence making sure that when you do, you have a world that is still worth coming home to.